When my mom passed away, it was the worst moment of my life. She had been the glue holding our family together, and without her, everything immediately began to fall apart. We had already lost Dad a few years before, and after that, it felt like we were walking on thin ice. But Mom was still around, calling on holidays, checking in with both of us, making sure her two sons didn't drift too far apart. I thought we'd honor her memory by staying united. I was wrong. My brother Jason and I had always had a complicated relationship. He was the charming one, the golden child. He could talk his way out of anything, always had the best stories at dinner, and always seemed to get what he wanted, even if it meant bending the truth. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one, the responsible one. I moved back into town when Mom's health started declining. I drove her to doctor's appointments, managed her medications, cleaned her house, cooked her meals. Jason? He'd show up once a month with flowers and take a few selfies for Facebook. That was it. He called her his angel, but when the bills came in or she needed help in the middle of the night, it was always me. Not that I minded. She was my mom. I didn't do it for some reward. I did it because I loved her. Still, I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect at least fairness when it came to the will. So when I walked into the attorney's office a few weeks after the funeral and saw Jason already there, grinning like he'd just hit the jackpot, I knew something was off. The lawyer looked uncomfortable, almost guilty. That's when he slid the will across the table and said, "It's been updated." Jason leaned in and said, "Looks like Mom finally realized who really cared about her." My stomach dropped. According to the new version, Jason was getting the house, her savings, and the land she'd inherited from Grandma. Everything. I was left with a small life insurance payout, barely enough to cover her medical debts I had already paid. "This has to be a mistake," I said. The lawyer just shook his head. This was her last signed version, dated 3 weeks before she passed. 3 weeks? That's when Jason had visited her alone. I suddenly remembered she seemed off after that, a little distant. I asked if I could see the signature, and the lawyer handed me the document. Something didn't feel right. It didn't look like her handwriting. Not completely. And there were other things, odd wording she never used, weird phrasing like, "My eldest son Jason, whom I entrust with my legacy." She never talked like that. "She didn't even know the name of her bank account," I said aloud. "How could she have written all this legal stuff?" Jason just smirked. "Don't be bitter, man. She made her choice." I clenched my fists. I didn't have proof yet, but deep down I knew. Jason had manipulated her, maybe worse. And if he thought I'd just sit back and accept that, he clearly forgot who I really was. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. After the meeting with the lawyer, I didn't say a word to Jason. No texts, no calls, no dramatic confrontation. That's what he expected. Something he could twist to make himself the victim. But this wasn't about drama. It was about justice. I started digging. Every bank statement, insurance record, legal document tied to Mom, I requested all of it. It took nights of scrolling, printing, reading fine print until my eyes hurt. But eventually, I found something off. A power of attorney form, signed just 3 weeks before Mom died, right when she was sedated on strong meds. I remembered trying to call her then, and Jason always answered instead. "She's resting." Now I knew why. He was keeping me away while he made her sign things she didn't understand. I tracked down her hospice nurse, met her in a coffee shop. She looked sad when I brought up Mom. "She always smiled through the pain," she said. But near the end, she looked confused, like she didn't know what was happening. I asked if Mom mentioned her will. She shook her head. "Only that she loved both of you. She said she wanted everything split fair and square." That sentence stuck with me. Fair and square. Jason's idea of fair was taking everything, the house, the money, her heirlooms, and leaving me with a handshake and a lie. I took everything I'd gathered, documents, timeline, nurses' words, and brought it to a new lawyer, Allison. She listened carefully,
Then she said, "We might have a case for undue influence. It won't be easy." I looked her straight in the eyes. "He stole from our dying mother. I'm not letting him get away with that." She gave a tight smile. "Good. Then let's rip this apart." We filed the petition that week. Jason didn't even see it coming. When Jason got served the legal documents, I imagined him sitting in his oversized leather chair, drinking his imported whiskey, thinking he was invincible. But that smug look must have cracked the moment he read the words, "Petition to contest the will on grounds of undue influence." He didn't call me. Instead, his lawyer sent mine a pathetic settlement offer, a fraction of what Mom owned, and a silent agreement to drop everything. I laughed when Allison showed it to me. "That's cute," I said. "Tell him I'm just getting started." And I was. The court needed proof that Mom wasn't in the right state of mind when Jason got her to sign everything over. So I dug even deeper. Medical records showed she was on heavy morphine those final weeks. One note from the hospice doctor read, "Patient is mentally foggy, likely unable to make complex decisions." That was gold. I also found Mom's old will from 5 years ago, the one where she split everything equally between us. Allison lit up when she saw it. This shows intent. It proves there was a change. Now we just need to show why. So we subpoenaed Jason's financials. Turns out, in the months before Mom's death, he'd transferred thousands from her account to pay off his personal debt. One charge, a luxury golf club membership. Another, a $12,000 consulting fee to himself. When I saw the documents, my jaw dropped. "He didn't even try to hide it," I muttered. Allison nodded. That kind of arrogance always backfires. In court, Jason acted cool. He wore his nicest suit, fake smiled at the judge, tried to play the concerned son. But when Allison started laying out the timeline, medical decline, financial transfers, power of attorney timing, I saw the shift in him. His eyes darted, his leg bounced under the table. Then we brought in the hospice nurse to testify. She looked directly at the judge and said, "Jason rarely let anyone see her. He always said, 'She's too tired.' But honestly, I think he didn't want people knowing how confused she was." The judge asked if Mom ever mentioned a new will. She replied, "No, only that she hoped her sons would take care of each other." After that, Jason's mask cracked. He muttered something under his breath. His lawyer leaned over, whispering frantically, but it was too late. The damage was done. My brother wasn't the golden son anymore. He was a thief in a suit, and everyone in the courtroom could see it. The final week of the trial felt like a slow-motion collapse of Jason's empire. Every time Allison presented a new piece of evidence, he got smaller in his seat. The judge was no fool. He asked sharp questions, pressed Jason about the money transfers, the isolation of our mother, the conveniently timed will change. Jason stammered, sweated, then claimed, "She wanted me to have it. She told me herself." But there was no recording, no letter, just his word, and by now, that meant nothing. I sat there silent, watching him unravel. Then came the kicker. Allison called my old college roommate David as a surprise witness. Jason hadn't seen that coming. David had visited Mom just 2 months before she died, and he remembered everything. "She was confused," David said clearly. "She asked me if her will was safe. She said she didn't trust Jason with her papers anymore." That line hit hard. The judge visibly shifted. Jason's lawyer tried to object, but it was over. The moment the testimony ended, I knew we had it. 2 days later, we got the verdict. The will Jason filed was invalid. The court reinstated the previous one, the one that split everything equally. But more than that, the judge ordered Jason to repay a chunk of the money he siphoned. He'd have to sell his cars, his membership, even his house if he wanted to avoid jail. When we walked out of the courtroom, Jason brushed past me. He didn't say a word, but I stopped him. I said, "You could have shared. You could have honored her, but you got greedy, and now you have nothing." He glared at me with so much hate, but I just smiled. That was the last time I ever saw him. After the trial, life settled into a strange new normal. The house was mine, but it didn't feel like victory at first. It felt empty without Mom. Yet, as weeks passed, I started restoring the home, fixing what Jason had ignored for years, planting Mom's favorite flowers in the garden, turning the space into a place of peace. The community even started coming by, remembering her kindness. I reconnected with friends and family who had stayed silent during the fight. Some apologized for doubting me, others for siding with Jason. I accepted a few apologies, ignored the rest. Jason vanished from our lives. No calls, no messages, no attempts to reconcile. It was clear he was gone for good. But something unexpected happened. I found strength in standing up for what was right. I became more than just a son fighting for a will. I became the guardian of our family's legacy and memory. I even started volunteering at a local elder care center, hoping to prevent others from going through what Mom did. When I look at the restored house now, it's not just bricks and mortar. It's a symbol of truth, justice, and resilience. And I know Mom would be proud. Because in the end, I didn't just win back money or land. I won back my family's soul.